Tom Henderson has heard that young Kratos is going back to Greece and some state of play details. So Tom Henderson in the podcast mentioned, but not able to verify from sources, that young Kratos is going back to Greece. However, he does not know if it's a remaster, prequel, or reboot. So let's hear what Tom Henderson has to say in the Insider Gaming Weekly podcast. I will leave a link to it in the video description. Worth noting is that Tom Henderson has been right countless of times. Now, he has not made a report about it, so he just heard this. It totally take it with a grain of salt, but I think it's interesting. Let's have a listen.
And from what I've been told, that it isn't set in Egypt, it's actually set in Greece. And it is going to be
So they're returning.
And it's going to be a younger Kratos this time.
Okay. Lots to unpack here. I, of course, already said in previous videos on this channel, in the Sunday video, the Gaming News Roundup, we, of course, do on the main channel, JorRaptor, that it was never going to be Egypt. And I know, it's not what you want to hear, because I would love to go to Egypt as well, but let's have a listen and hear what the game director, Eric Williams, said after the launch of Ragnarok.
It's the end of the Norse saga. We leave it open for maybe there are other things with other mythologies and whatnot. So we'll see where the future of Santa Monica goes.
Now,
I mean, if you pay attention to Tyr, I mean, there's a reason why he does the 6 animations that he does at the end of the game.
I'm sorry, say that again?
so again, he is referring to the different realms where you...
Okay, Dennis, take it up. But yeah, if you, of course, finished God of War, Ragnarok, you have Tyr doing interesting animations. And they were never hinting at Egypt.
Here, I will share the locations in a moment as well as what it could mean, because he is definitely teasing something here.
So there's like 6 different places he is. But,
Okay, so he's in
he does very specific animations.
Yes. So
may have seen that he's been traveling the world. I'm gonna get in trouble here in a minute.
And then the conversation goes on about Tyr in general, but yeah, the fact that Eric says that he might get in trouble here also hints that there is definitely something going on. So
but yeah, of course, the sort of things he's doing, they're kind of like, if we like look at them here, they're kind of meditation. Like they're very like more Asian focused. So yeah, this is in Niflheim, Svartalfheim. So we also had this in God of War Ragnarok. Tyr in the Valhalla DLC was using different weapons. And this was from Mexico, so every time you would like encounter him, he would like use a different weapon. And at one point, he also, like there were hints at Egypt as well. He would use the sickles, the Kopesh weapons. But the final one he used was a different one. Let's see.
might be a...
Think you will enjoy it. And that was the katana. So that was the final weapon he used. Again, there were just way more hints at we're gonna like explore the Chinese mythology, the Japanese mythology. That would of course be really, really awesome. And we know from Ragnarok as well, and the weapon that Kratos got in Ragnarok, we all thought it was gonna be Mjolnir. Of course, we got a different weapon, and they really want to play with your expectation and twist it and do something different. What is interesting about this Grease rumor is, of course, what I think, my take on this, and of course, just my prediction. I think that they are looking at the PlayStation 5 life cycle and they're like, okay, we want to do another God of War game. Obviously, Ragnarok also launched on PS4. And that was a huge success. Like, God of War is the most successful thing Sony has right now. Period. Helldivers 2 is of course great, but like in terms of like the money they make, they don't have to pay Marvel, like with Spider-Man. The Last of Us is not as big as God of War anymore. They own God of War like big time. It's the biggest thing they have. They want to have another God of War game during the PS5 generation. And I don't think having another like next big thing that might be also part of a new trilogy or like a dual sort of thing, going to the real next mythology with the Kratos we have at the end of Valhalla, with a grown-up Atreus, etc., etc. That's probably a way bigger undertaking, because they're basically starting from scratch. Sure, it's still Kratos and the familiar characters, but they have to make a whole new world again. And I think they probably want to save that for the PS6 and then make 2 games, like the next one built upon the things that they built with the first game. So basically the next big God of War 6 or whatever you want to call it, they want to have that on the, or God of War 7, I don't know, but they want to have that on the PS6, I think, and then make a second game there. Meaning that they have this sort of gap on PS5. And yeah, a cool way is to, with this newer style of God of War game, go back to Greece. And it's not weird, because, and then we go back to Valhalla, what did we see in God of War Ragnarok Valhalla? In the free DLC, we saw Greece enemies. And this was a free DLC, and it included so much like new assets and new enemies that we never really see in free content. Like even live service games don't give us this much like free, the amount of like free stuff. And of course here we had these like more regular enemies. We also had the Cyclops. There were a lot of Greece enemies in the Valhalla DLC. And yeah, it was cool for Ragnarok and for Valhalla, but they already made those enemies. I think going back to Greece, they also had some assets made for the Valhalla DLC. They can reuse that. It already works with the new combat they've created. Obviously, Kratos is gonna be less capable. Again, I can see this happen, and I can see this be like a smaller title. But they will probably still ask full price for it. But I can see for a Santa Monica this being a like less of an undertaking than really going from the Norse saga to what will be probably the Asian mythology saga. And I always think they will do an Egypt thing because people want it. I know that, but they wanna go for that Chinese mythology or something, probably. But to do that, they need, if they want something to release during this PS5 life cycle that probably takes 3 years, 4 years to make, this Greece game makes more sense. It could also, again, like we see here, it could also totally be a remaster, prequel, or reboot. But him saying a young Kratos going back to Greece, I don't know. I think this sounds more like a sort of Miles Morales type thing, but probably still bigger. I do think this will be full priced if they're gonna do it. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating, I think. I know people want Egypt. I agree. I think that would be amazing. But again, Santa Monica wants to play with our expectations. And after playing Wukong, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, like, there's so much cool stuff they can do with the mythology that we don't really know a lot of. And I think the Asian mythology just has so much cool things that we could then explore through the lens of God of War. And it is what they've been teasing in Ragnarok. I know people don't want to believe it, but like I showed you, Eric Williams has said it. We look at what Tyr is doing, that should be the hint. To recap, I think Tom Anderson has been right many times before, of course, grain of salt. If this is true, I think this will be a PS5 exclusive God of War, smaller title, like still huge, but like smaller for Santa Monica to create, while they, for the next game, for PS6, make this brand new mythology that we can explore. And now, in the meantime, to still give us something cool for God of War, go back to Greece. It's an easy win. It's an easy win. Sony kind of needs an easy win right now. And I hope it's true, because I like Kratos. I want to see more of Kratos. I always said, an Atreus game, probably. I don't know. But I think after, like, one of the biggest, like, takeaways from Ragnarok was, of course, that people did not really like the Atreus parts. So, it's gonna be an easy win for them to say, yo, we're just gonna make a game in ancient Greece with only Kratos. and it's gonna be just as crazy as those, like especially 3, of course, with the huge set pieces, but then with the PS5 like graphics and stuff. That's gonna be wild. I hope this is true. Let me know what you, of course, want to see in the comments down below. But yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Again, I think I talked about some things that might make this pretty reasonable. But yeah, when we'll see it will likely be a while. But interesting stuff. I will speak to you soon, of course. Don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.